Sit back, relax, and enjoy listening. As soon as the man heard that RK was SV's husband, he was completely taken aback. For a few moments, he couldn't even speak, stunned by the revelation. SV was known worldwide for her strong, unapproachable demeanor, never allowing men to get close, let alone touching her or shaking hands. The idea that she would even talk to a man without some business motive was shocking. But marriage? That seemed impossible. SV had used her influence to keep news of her marriage contained within her own country, so people outside it had no idea she and RK were actually married. After a while, the man managed to compose himself and, still in disbelief, asked RK if it was really true, if he was truly SV's husband. He repeated his question a few times, trying to grasp the reality, and each time RK confirmed. Finally, convinced that it was the truth, the man then asked why they weren't together at the party, why SV was socializing alone. RK's teammates felt a jolt of anxiety. They knew the truth of RK and SV's complex relationship and wondered how RK would answer. But to their surprise, RK simply replied, calm and unaffected, "It's professional. We keep our personal and professional lives separate." His straightforward response left everyone even more astonished. They couldn't believe how much RK had changed in just one day. He seemed completely unaffected by anything related to SV. The same RK, who had once worried over her smallest needs, now seemed unfazed. Even in the face of her coldness and open disdain, he'd been attentive and patient. But tonight, he showed a side they'd never seen before, and they wondered what could have brought about such a shift. But they knew this wasn't the time or place to ask. The party continued, with everyone mingling and celebrating. Yet SV remained the center of attention. No matter where she went, eyes followed her. She was standing among some of the world's most powerful people, politicians, business moguls, and other high-profile figures, chatting smoothly and confidently, completely absorbed in her own world, showing no interest in anyone else. RK watched from across the room, and each time he glanced in her direction, it only fueled his anger. The way people looked at her with awe, the ease with which she spoke to everyone, so casual and poised, it all seemed to bother him more than he wanted to admit. The moment he realized he didn't like seeing her this way, he snapped to attention, trying to control his thoughts. He told himself it shouldn't affect him. Their marriage was only on paper, nothing more. They had no real relationship. But despite his efforts, his attention kept drifting back to her. It was as if he couldn't help himself. He found himself silently fuming as he wondered why she could talk so easily with others. Yet when it came to him, she was always cold and distant. If she can be this warm and approachable with strangers, he thought. Why is it different with me? Why does she act like I don't matter? But the moment he thought it, he forced himself back to reality, realizing how easily he was slipping into these thoughts about her, something he'd been trying to avoid since morning. But even after he is explaining his mind to not to pay attention, his attention after some time automatically goes toward her, and it makes him more angry. He thought in his mind, how can she talk this much smoothly with everyone? If she can talk like this to other men, what happened to her when she talks to me? Why doesn't she behave like this with me when I'm around? Why she hate? As soon as he thought this, he snapped back to reality, realizing how hard he'd been trying all day to keep her out of his mind. Since morning, it had been an exhausting effort to push her thoughts aside, and somehow, he'd managed to keep control. But now, with her right in front of him, it was different. The wall he'd built was starting to crumble, and he could feel his control slipping, his emotions surfacing despite his best efforts. The frustration, the questions, all of it felt so much harder to ignore now that she was there, just a glance away.